value? What do you value? Whatever you value, you show it with your resources. Isn't that true? I can give you examples. You know where you spend your money. Now, I'm thinking in terms of the artists in Columbus, the teachers in Columbus. And when I say artists, I'm not just talking about musicians. There are, it's amazing. All you have to do is look around. There are incredible visual artists in Columbus. There are chefs. There's just a little bit of everything in Columbus that is like on a level of excellence. And when you're a musician or a visual artist, you may work a 9 to 5 because you have to, but if you're able to get enough support to just do your art, then you're going to be working. I mean, an artist, doesn't just work 8 hours a day. It's a lifelong thing. It's not drudgery, but in order to get good, it takes time. The artist knows that. To become creative takes a time commitment. So, and I have to include teachers in that too, because you know your kids, and you know how creative these teachers need to be in order to teach your kids. The teachers work all night, and sometimes they're up all night trying to figure out what to do the next day. A teacher's job doesn't end at the end of the day like a 9 to 5. I mean, they could do it that way. And I'm sure some do. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, you get paid for the hours you work. But the dedicated teachers are working long hours. And it's not about the money either. You know it's not about the money because we're not giving them, we're not paying them very much. If you play an instrument, you're in a band, okay? And so the band does all this rehearsing and learns all these songs, and works on a show, and all this, okay? For what? For to do a series of shows that where you go home at 2 o'clock at night with $50 in your pocket after spending hours and hours. I mean, it just doesn't really balance out, does it? I mean, the pot ought to be a little bit bigger than that. If the pot's not bigger than that, then there ought to be all the tips that the waitress gets. How come there's the tips to go to the musicians? The musicians, the waitress only works the hours the club's open. They're going to close up, but they don't have to do homework on how to keep a club. The musicians are working on they're working on what they do all the time in order to stay sharp and be what they are. It's just that's what the nature of being a musician is. We do music just like birds sing in the trees. Just all the time, all the time, all the time. And that ought to be supported, because a musician that does this all the time thing, if they're not going to make that all the time money, and they still have to, drive a hoopty, and, you know, they're going to leave town. And that's what they do. But if they found this, if the support was here, the strength of the music would be here as well, in every style. The strength of all everything, the visual arts, whatever art field, they're not being drawn to Columbus. I mean, nobody from the outside like they are from to the big cities. I'm going to L.A. I'm going to New York. I'm going to Chicago. Okay. If I'm working hard and then there's nowhere in town where that's gonna pay me and expect me to do everything free, there's a value to it, and it's not about we hungry for money. It's not like that. I don't know why people think like that. Just because we mention money and there's a ticket price and all those kinds of things. It's not money hungry. It's basically musicians have lives and families too. And just because they're musicians doesn't mean, they're a bunch of drug addicts. Some of them turn into drug addicts because, they don't. There's no solid thing that says this is a real profession to be in Columbus, Ohio. Unless you're like in the Columbus Symphony, a jazz arts group. There's a plethora of, so many other musical things that happen other than the big organized things, the giant organized things. There's some small organized things that are pretty high. I'm working with a Eric Avalon, and I think it's like maybe a 10-piece group. We got a horn section, and a couple of keyboard players, and it's a Marvin Gaye Motown tribute band, and the band does pretty good when we're out there performing. Okay, but it takes digging, it takes work, it takes bling. You got to have some kind of bling in order to convince people that this that you're presenting something that's just like New York. I mean, why can't it just be just like Columbus? If you support, if I'm feeling like the city is going to support me and help me to stand as a musician, then I'm going to want to do music in a respectable way, and that's what it's about. The kids growing up, I've been teaching for 40 years, and if you train a kid and the kid wants to be a professional musician, he's going to run into the same stuff that we're running into. So I don't know. Maybe it's just me, but I just believe that Columbus can do this, and Columbus can turn things around by supporting the arts. Supporting the arts in Columbus. If you're supporting the arts in Columbus, you're making Columbus strong in all arenas, most arenas. Okay, I'm Roger. Thank you.